In part one of this two-part series on the alto trombone, which you should watch, and I've linked to it in the comments below, I talk about aspects of the alto that make it different from the tenor, makes it better, I believe, and I provide some tips on learning it and improving your skills on playing it. So in this part two, let me give you some more advanced tips on the alto, along with talking about how to improvise on it really well. And yes, you can play jazz on the alto. Now, let me start by addressing the common idea that the alto makes it easier to play in the high register. Does it? Well, I think yes and no. Now, I mentioned in the previous video that the stock mouthpiece that typically comes with an alto is shallow. And while that's going to allow you to squeeze out some higher notes, it comes at the cost of a thinner sound. Now, I mentioned that if you play a deeper tenor mouthpiece, like I do on my 6.5 AL, you're not going to get that higher note lift. But the alto does offer an advantage for playing in the high register. And in my book on how to play the alto, I call Alto Trombone Savvy, I use an image of a target to show the differences in space between the partials, comparing the alto to the tenor. As an example, the alto provides more distance between the partial under and the one over the high B flat. On the tenor, the partial under the high B flat is a whole step down to that A flat, and above it by one whole step to the C. So on your tenor, you have to aim within a distance of 4 semitones. On the alto, however, the partial below the high B flat is G, 3 semitones, and above it is another 3 semitones to the high D flat. Now, those 2 extra semitones, that may not seem like much, but I think it helps create a fatter target or pocket for the higher notes. And that goes for every note on the alto relative to the tenor. I mean, it's just physics. Remember what I said on the previous video. The alto is not just a smaller version of a tenor. It's a different instrument with partials a fourth higher than that of the tenor. Now that puts all the notes in different positions and partials from the tenor. But in Alto Trombone Savvy, I have lots of exercises for building your mental and your muscle memory for the positions. And that's going to help you play better on the alto sooner. Now, something else I'm a big advocate for, getting a fat sound on the alto, right? You should go after whatever sound you prefer. But I've always worked hard at getting a big sound out of this relatively small instrument so that I can blend better with other trombones in the section. Now, one way I've done that is by practicing outdoor my entire life, no matter where I've lived. I mean, I've done that from early college through right now, this morning. So I recommend finding a place that's outdoors where you can project with your full sound that isn't distracted or colored by, wall reflections. Let me also add 2 other advantages of the alto. One is the shorter, lighter slide. And that means that there's a shorter distance between the notes. That shorter slide also makes it lighter. And a couple of years ago, a friend of mine showed me an odd version of a tenor he had in his closet that had what he called a featherweight slide. I think it had like a carbon fiber brace to it, which made it lighter. And I played it. My immediate reaction was, man, this slide feels heavy. So, the slide on my Adams alto weighs just 6 ounces. It's light. Now that goes back to my comment on the first video about the alto being my jazz Ferrari because of the quicker response and handling of the lighter, shorter slide. Okay, now let me give you my thoughts on playing jazz, improvising on the alto trombone. If you've read my books, taken my courses, or watched my videos, you know that I like the term connecting your ear to your instrument as a requirement for authentic improvisation. But that connection means that your instrument, in this case the alto, you have to know it very well. I mean, it's more than just learning the positions and memorizing the scales. It means that the alto becomes an extension of your voice, right? Ba-da-ba-ba-da. Now, how do you get there on the alto or any instrument? Well, as I talk about an alto trombone savvy in the chapter on playing jazz, learn your scales, be able to play them without thinking, up and down, sideways intervals at 3 in the morning if somebody wakes you up out of bed. Learn your theory, transcribe great solos, play them by memory, and practice, 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 and practice. But your ear is the key to playing any instrument well, including the alto trombone. And I want to give you an excellent exercise to deepen that connection between your ear and your alto. And I'm going to expand on what I did a second ago, where I sang and then I played that phrase on the horn, because it's not only going to help you improvise, but it's going to build your familiarity quicker with the alto. It's going to allow you to sight read better, play more in tune, find the positions quicker, and be more musical when you play it. Now, I created a whole video on this exercise, which I'm going to link to in the comments. But let me give you an introduction to this. And the idea is to be able to play what you sing. And there's no need to be a good singer, and I'm going to demonstrate that soon enough, but you just have to be good enough to get close to the pitch. So do this. To get started, just play a note on your instrument within a comfortable range of your voice. So, then sing that note. Ba. Then sing a new note that's somewhat close to that note, just to get you started. So, ba. Right? And then do this a few times. Ba, 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 ba. And as you do this, then sing longer phrases and wider intervals that you can find in your instrument. So, da 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 ba 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 da do ba ba do ba da. And do this a little bit every day. I like to start out just warming up my ear with this. And if you do, and I've heard from others on the results they've experienced, I think you're going to be thrilled at how much better this makes you as an improviser. Now, something else that's going to help connect your ear to your instrument is my improvisation platform called Grooves Playground. It consists of play-along tracks that are made up of simple 1, 2, 3, and 4 chord loops, all in interesting keys and beats that you can play over. Now on alto, start with the easier 1 or 2 chord loops, and with or without the written guidance that I provide, explore your improvisation. No need to play anything complicated, just play what you hear inside, and use the earlier exercise to sing a phrase that can get you started. And if you're new to the alto trombone, I'm not going to tell you that this is all going to come quickly. But if you practice the right things regularly, from Alto Trombone Savvy to my videos and my courses, I promise that you're going to see some wonderful music emerge from this great brass instrument.